You know it is out there, but you don't want to see it.
I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I haven't had any racist experience within the trust. There was a time where things got really bad and I felt like leaving the trust.
People face discrimination, microaggression and bullying every day. And when we try to speak up, we are accused of using our race card or advised to avoid this particular group of people. But we cannot really avoid them since we work together and we don't believe that's a solution.
I am lucky to have not been discriminated due to my ethnicity. But it pains me to see the people that I love and care for be hurt by the prejudice to this day. And this is the reality. Being involved in overseas nurses training means that it is an opportunity for me to provide support for such brave, intelligent and selfless people. They have left behind their young families, have dealt with bereavement and illnesses of their dear ones, having to deal with their own illnesses during this tiring time of COVID pandemic, but away from the comfort of home and support system. And some still adapting to the weather, language, this new environment and differences. I can relate to their situation as I was there 16 years ago. It is deeply inspiring to see many of our staff supporting and nurturing our overseas nurses and becoming the best mentors that allowed them to flourish and to provide the best care for our patients. But that's not always the case. I have heard so many stories that are infuriating, disappointing, and it shouldn't be happening. Many times I wanted to be their voice, but that's not what will help them. What will help them is empowering them to share their stories without fear and judgment. We need you.
How I'm feeling right now, I think coming out of the COVID crisis and then having the death of George Floyd in America, I feel emotional about what happened, and I feel frustrated about the inequalities and injustices that are directed to Black people.
So why I think the Black Lives Matter movement is important, especially now during the pandemic and in regards to George Floyd's death, is that it has been able to further exacerbate and expose the systemic racism, discrimination that exists in the UK.
The Black Lives Matter is important within the NHS because there is a lot of inequalities or disproportionate or unfairness being directed to the Black people or minority ethnics. It's important that we are valued and treated fairly within the NHS.
A lot of people don't actually know what microaggression is. This is something that I have personally been affected by in the workplace without colleagues and members of the public even realizing they're doing this. An example of microaggression is someone asks you where you're from, and upon answering that question of saying where in the UK you're from, they ask you the next question of where are you actually from. That's a perfect example of microaggression. Some people might not see that as offensive, but it's making that assumption that because I'm of Black origin, I have to be from somewhere outside the UK.
So the fact that I don't have that necessities with me when I was in quarantine, there were actually people who called me who's from BAME. They're member of BAME network, and So these are stranger people actually who's been calling me and I don't know them. They're asking me, how are you? Do you have enough groceries there? Do you have paracetamol? So somehow BAME network actually filled up the security and safety that I needed that time. So it was a very, very good experience because BAME is there to support you, especially that they are an organization that support Black and Asian and minor ethnicities, and I was one of them.
I fully believe you can make a difference. Thank you.